Hollywood, the shimmering beacon of glamour and ambition, is a world that thrives on secrets, whispers, and intrigue. Beneath the glitzy surface of red carpets, golden statues, and celebrity endorsements lies a murky underbelly of scandals and controversies. While many salacious tales have become public knowledge, some shocking episodes were carefully concealed, either through the sheer power of public relations or the influence of those involved. However, truth, as it often does, has a way of surfacing. Here are 30 jaw-dropping scandals Hollywood tried desperately to bury, but ultimately couldn't keep hidden. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. 1. The cover-up of Natalie Wood's death. The mysterious death of Natalie Wood remains one of Hollywood's most enduring enigmas, clouded by conspiracy, suspicion, and unanswered questions. In 1981, the iconic actress drowned near Santa Catalina Island after falling from her yacht, Splendor. On board that fateful night were her husband, Robert Wagner, fellow actor Christopher Walken, and the yacht's captain. At first, Wood's death was ruled an accidental drowning, but whispers of foul play never ceased. The case became more perplexing in 2011 when the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department reopened the investigation. New testimony from the yacht's captain suggested a heated argument had broken out between Wood and Wagner shortly before she disappeared. For decades, Wagner maintained his innocence, but rumors swirled about his involvement. The official cause of death was later amended to drowning and other undetermined factors, reigniting speculation that powerful forces within Hollywood had worked overtime to shield Wagner and preserve his reputation. Despite renewed interest and damning allegations, the truth behind Natalie Wood's tragic demise remains shrouded in mystery, leaving the public to wonder how far Hollywood will go to protect its own. 2. The erasure of Judy Garland's turmoil. Judy Garland, the luminous star of The Wizard of Oz, dazzled audiences with her unparalleled voice and radiant charisma. But behind her legendary status lay a lifetime of suffering, largely orchestrated by the very studio system that propelled her to fame. From an early age, Garland was subjected to the grueling demands of MGM Studios. Executives controlled nearly every aspect of her life, from her diet to her appearance, often resorting to extreme measures to ensure she adhered to Hollywood's impossibly high standards. To maintain her weight, Garland was fed a cocktail of diet pills and amphetamines, which eventually led to a debilitating addiction. Her struggles with mental health and substance abuse were exacerbated by the relentless pressure to deliver perfection on screen. Studio heads, desperate to preserve their golden goose, suppressed any hint of her distress, painting her as a consummate professional while her private life spiraled into chaos. Garland's struggles were largely kept out of the public eye during her lifetime, thanks to the studio's iron grip on the media. Even after her untimely death in 1969 from a barbiturate overdose, Hollywood attempted to whitewash her suffering, framing her life as a tragic but inevitable cautionary tale. It was only in later decades, as former colleagues and biographers began to speak out, that the harrowing details of her exploitation came to light, shedding a damning spotlight on Hollywood's toxic culture. 3. The Black Dahlia Murders Hollywood Connections. The brutal murder of aspiring actress Elizabeth Short, known infamously as the Black Dahlia, remains one of America's most infamous cold cases. In January 1947, Short's mutilated body was discovered in a vacant lot in Los Angeles, her face carved into a grotesque smile. The crime sent shockwaves through the city, and the media frenzy that followed immortalized Short as a macabre legend. But what few knew at the time was the deep, dark connection this case had to Hollywood itself. Short had moved to Los Angeles with dreams of stardom, but found herself lost in the cutthroat world of showbiz. During the investigation, rumors circulated that she had ties to powerful men in the film industry. Some speculated that her death was the result of a cover-up orchestrated by influential Hollywood elites, afraid that their connections to the aspiring starlet might come to light. Others suggested that certain names, potentially directors, producers, or actors, were omitted from police reports due to their stature. Though the case remains officially unsolved, evidence of police corruption and Hollywood's interference continues to haunt the investigation. Books and documentaries over the years have pointed fingers at various suspects with ties to the film industry, hinting at a sinister conspiracy to protect Hollywood's glittering facade. The Black Dahlia murder, for all its infamy, represents one of the darkest chapters in the city's history, exposing how far the industry will go to guard its secrets. 4. The suppression of Rock Hudson's AIDS diagnosis. Rock Hudson, the matinee idol who epitomized masculinity and charm in the golden age of Hollywood, harbored a deeply personal secret throughout his career. In an era when homosexuality was taboo and careers could be destroyed by mere speculation, Hudson was forced to live a double life, carefully curating a public image of heterosexual virility while concealing his true identity. The lengths to which Hollywood went to preserve this illusion were staggering. The truth began to unravel in 1985, when Hudson became one of the first major celebrities to be publicly diagnosed with AIDS. Initially, his diagnosis was shrouded in secrecy, with his team issuing vague statements about his health. But as his condition worsened, the truth could no longer be denied. Hudson's public acknowledgement of his illness was groundbreaking, forcing the entertainment industry to confront the AIDS crisis that had largely been ignored. While Hudson's bravery in his final months helped destigmatize the disease and humanize its victims, his story also revealed the lengths to which Hollywood would go to suppress uncomfortable truths. His studio, agents, and publicists had spent decades crafting a false narrative about his life, erasing any hint of his sexuality and, by extension, his humanity. Hudson's tragic death marked a turning point in the cultural conversation about AIDS, but it also exposed the industry's cruel indifference to the struggles of its own stars. 5. Harvey Weinstein and Hollywood's culture of silence. Few scandals have rocked Hollywood as profoundly as the downfall of Harvey Weinstein. Once one of the most powerful figures in the film industry, Weinstein's reputation unraveled in 2017 when dozens of women came forward with allegations of sexual harassment, assault, and rape. The revelations were both shocking and sickening, but what made the scandal even more appalling was the extent to which Hollywood had enabled his behavior for decades. Weinstein's predatory actions were reportedly an open secret within the industry, with many celebrities, journalists, and executives either complicit in or willfully ignorant of his abuse. NDAs, settlements, and threats of retaliation ensured that his victims remained silent, while his influence protected him from scrutiny. The entertainment press, dependent on access to stars and studios, often avoided stories that might tarnish his reputation. The scandal ignited the #MeToo movement, a cultural reckoning that laid bare the systemic abuse of power in Hollywood and beyond. As more survivors came forward, it became clear that Weinstein's actions were not an anomaly, but a symptom of a much larger problem. Hollywood's culture of silence, its prioritization of profit over ethics, and its willingness to protect predators at the expense of victims were all thrown into sharp relief. The industry's response to Weinstein's downfall, public pledges of reform and accountability, underscored just how deep the rot had gone, raising questions about how many other scandals had been swept under the rug. 6. The mysterious death of Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe's death in 1962 stunned the world, but the circumstances surrounding it have fueled speculation for decades. Officially ruled a probable suicide by overdose, Monroe was found lifeless in her Los Angeles home, a bottle of pills beside her bed. However, the story was far from straightforward, and Hollywood's swift attempt to quiet the storm only added to the intrigue. Monroe's connections to the Kennedy family have long been a focal point of conspiracy theories. Rumors suggest she had affairs with both President John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert Kennedy, entangling her in powerful circles. Some speculate Monroe knew too much, particularly about political secrets, and her death was orchestrated to silence her. Others point to the chaotic nature of her personal life, exacerbated by her struggles with addiction, as evidence of foul play. Further complicating the case were inconsistencies in police reports, missing medical records, and the strange behavior of her housekeeper, who allegedly delayed calling authorities. Hollywood's efforts to sanitize Monroe's legacy and portray her as a tragic but blameless icon only deepened the mystery. To this day, her death remains a potent symbol of the cost of fame and the sinister forces that lurk in the shadows of power. 7. The erased assault of Fatty Arbuckle. In the 1920s, Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle was one of Hollywood's biggest stars, a comedic genius whose films delighted millions. But his career came to a screeching halt in 1921 after he was accused of sexually assaulting actress Virginia Rappe during a wild party in San Francisco. Rappe died shortly after the alleged incident, and Arbuckle was charged with manslaughter. a crime that carried a heavy sentence. The ensuing media circus painted Arbuckle as a monster, with salacious headlines detailing lurid and often fabricated accounts of the party. Though he was ultimately acquitted after 3 trials, the damage to his career was irreversible. Behind the scenes, Hollywood's nascent public relations machinery worked tirelessly to distance itself from the scandal, even as the studio system exploited the story to distract from broader scrutiny of the industry's debauchery. What made the Arbuckle case especially shocking was how quickly Hollywood turned on one of its own. Studios buried his films and erased his contributions, effectively blacklisting him despite his legal vindication. The trial underscored Hollywood's willingness to sacrifice individuals to protect its collective reputation, a pattern that would be repeated in scandals for years to come. 8. The destruction of Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes, the eccentric billionaire, aviator, and filmmaker, was a towering figure in Hollywood's golden age. But behind his glamorous facade lay a tortured soul whose descent into madness was as public as it was tragic. Hughes's later years were marked by reclusiveness, paranoia, and erratic behavior, much of which was obscured by a carefully controlled narrative. Hughes's obsessive-compulsive disorder and reliance on painkillers were compounded by injuries sustained in multiple plane crashes. His behavior grew increasingly bizarre. He isolated himself in darkened rooms, stored his urine in jars, and became paranoid about germs. Hollywood, however, had a vested interest in downplaying his mental decline. Hughes controlled RKO Pictures, one of the major studios of the era, and his influence ensured that the extent of his deterioration was largely kept from public view. The full extent of Hughes's struggles came to light only after his death in 1976. His estate was thrown into chaos, with allegations of forged wills, hidden assets, and questionable caretakers emerging in the aftermath. Hughes's tragic unraveling highlighted Hollywood's tendency to prioritize profit and power over personal well-being, turning a blind eye to even the most glaring red flags if doing so served its interests. The Polanski Scandal. Roman Polanski, the acclaimed director of films such as Rosemary's Baby and Chinatown, became the central figure in one of Hollywood's most infamous scandals in 1977. Polanski was arrested and charged with the drugging and sexual assault of a 13-year-old girl at Jack Nicholson's home. Despite pleading guilty to a reduced charge of unlawful sexual intercourse, Polanski fled to Europe before sentencing, thereby evading imprisonment in the United States. What makes this scandal particularly shocking is not just the heinous nature of the crime, but Hollywood's polarizing response. Many of Polanski's industry peers publicly defended him, citing his artistic achievements and personal tragedies, notably the brutal murder of his wife Sharon Tate by the Manson family, as mitigating factors. High-profile figures, including actors and directors, signed petitions demanding leniency and his release, creating a deep divide between Hollywood elites and the broader public. Polanski's continued success in Europe, where he directed critically acclaimed films and even won an Academy Award, only intensified public outrage. This scandal laid bare Hollywood's troubling pattern of excusing predatory behavior under the guise of artistic genius, a pattern that has resurfaced in other high-profile cases in the years since. 10. The studio-funded mafia connections. During the mid-20th century, Hollywood's golden era was not just shaped by visionary directors and charismatic stars, it was also deeply influenced by organized crime. The mafia played a significant role in the film industry, from funding productions to controlling labor unions and owning theater chains. Studios often worked hand-in-hand with mobsters, either out of necessity or greed, creating a hidden partnership that shaped Hollywood's rise to global dominance. One of the most infamous cases was the mafia's infiltration of the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees IATSE, the union representing Hollywood workers. Mob bosses extorted millions from studios under the threat of labor strikes, effectively holding the industry hostage. In some cases, studios willingly partnered with the mafia, using them to secure loans or eliminate competition in the cutthroat business landscape. The ties between Hollywood and organized crime were deliberately concealed, with studio heads and mobsters alike benefiting from a culture of secrecy. High-profile investigations into the mafia's influence, such as the Kefauver hearings of the 1950s, briefly shone a spotlight on these murky dealings. but the full extent of their collaboration was never fully exposed. Hollywood's willingness to embrace criminal enterprises to protect its bottom line remains one of its most startling and underreported scandals. 11. The disappearance of Jean Spangler. In 1949, rising Hollywood actress and dancer Jean Spangler vanished without a trace, leaving behind one of the industry's most haunting mysteries. Spangler, who had appeared in small roles and was rumored to have connections to influential figures, disappeared after leaving her Los Angeles home, telling her family she was meeting her ex-husband to discuss child support. She was never seen again. The only clue to Spangler's fate was her purse, found in Griffith Park 2 days later. Inside was a cryptic note addressed to someone named Kirk, which read, "Can't wait any longer. Going to see Dr. Scott. It will work best this way, while Mother is away." This fueled rampant speculation, with some linking her disappearance to actor Kirk Douglas, who denied knowing her. Others believe the note referenced an illegal abortion, a risky procedure often sought by actresses desperate to avoid career-damaging pregnancies. Hollywood's tight-lipped response only added to the intrigue. Despite police investigations and public appeals, the case was quickly overshadowed by other news, leading many to suspect a deliberate effort to stifle publicity. The disappearance of Jean Spangler remains unsolved, a grim reminder of the dangers lurking beneath Tinseltown's glittering surface. 12. The Charlie Chaplin paternity scandal. Charlie Chaplin, one of Hollywood's most revered figures, found himself at the center of a sensational scandal in the 1940s when actress Joan Barry accused him of fathering her child. The case became a media frenzy, not just because of Chaplin's celebrity, but due to the bizarre twists it entailed, including FBI intervention and Chaplin's public humiliation. Barry filed a paternity suit against Chaplin after giving birth, claiming he was the father. Chaplin denied the allegations, but the court proceedings revealed a darker side of Hollywood's golden boy. He admitted to an affair with Barry, which began when she was 22 and ended under tumultuous circumstances. Despite blood tests proving Chaplin was not the father, a rarity in legal cases at the time, the court still ordered him to pay child support under California law. The scandal tarnished Chaplin's reputation and made him a target of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, who sought to brand him as a communist and immoral figure. Hoover's vendetta contributed to Chaplin's eventual exile from the United States. The Chaplin paternity case exposed the fragility of Hollywood legends and the extent to which the industry would go to protect its own, even at the expense of truth. 13. The death of George Reeves. George Reeves, best known as Superman in the 1950s television series Adventures of Superman, died under mysterious circumstances in 1959. Reeves was found in his Los Angeles home with a gunshot wound to the head, and while his death was officially ruled a suicide, inconsistencies in the case have led to decades of speculation about foul play. Reeves' career had stalled after Superman, leaving him typecast and struggling for meaningful roles. Friends and family questioned the suicide ruling, pointing to the lack of gunpowder residue on his hands and the position of the gun, which seemed inconsistent with self-inflicted wounds. Adding intrigue were Reeves' romantic entanglements, including a long-term affair with Toni Mannix, the wife of powerful MGM executive Eddie Mannix, and a new fiancée, Lenore Lemon. Some theorists suggest that jealousy or revenge could have played a role in his death. Hollywood's swift closure of the case and reluctance to investigate further fueled conspiracy theories. Many believe Reeves' death was covered up to protect the reputations of high-profile individuals. The unresolved questions surrounding his demise continue to cast a shadow over his legacy, turning the tragic tale of a man who embodied hope into one of Hollywood's darkest mysteries. 14. The Hollywood 10 and Blacklist. In the late 1940s, Hollywood was rocked by the Red Scare, a wave of anti-communist paranoia that swept the nation. The House Un-American Activities Committee (HUAC) targeted the film industry, accusing writers, directors, and actors of communist affiliations. 10 individuals, later known as the Hollywood 10, refused to testify, citing their First Amendment rights, and were subsequently blacklisted, effectively ending their careers. Behind the scenes, studios capitulated to political pressure, drawing up secret blacklists of suspected communists. Many careers were destroyed, and families torn apart as artists were ostracized from the industry. Some, like Dalton Trumbo, managed to work under pseudonyms, but the blacklist's impact was devastating and far-reaching. Hollywood's complicity in the Red Scare revealed a chilling willingness to sacrifice its own for political expediency. Studios cooperated with HUAC to protect their business interests, often turning against colleagues and collaborators to avoid scrutiny. The Hollywood 10 scandal remains a dark chapter in the industry's history, exposing its vulnerability to external manipulation and its readiness to abandon principles in the face of fear. 15. The scandal of Peg Entwistle's tragic leap. The story of Peg Entwistle is a heartbreaking reminder of Hollywood's ability to destroy as well as elevate. In 1932, Entwistle, a struggling actress, climbed to the top of the iconic Hollywoodland sign, then a real estate advertisement, and jumped to her death, leaving behind a note expressing her despair over failed ambitions. She was just 24 years old. Entwistle's death became a media sensation, emblematic of the darker side of the Hollywood dream. Having appeared in only one film, 13 Women, her career had not taken off as she'd hoped. Her suicide note read, "I am afraid I am a coward. I am sorry for everything. If I had done this a long time ago, it would have saved a lot of pain." Hollywood's reaction was both exploitative and hypocritical. Studios and tabloids sensationalized the tragedy, framing it as a cautionary tale for ambitious young actors. Meanwhile, the industry's relentless pursuit of profit and its systemic disregard for the well-being of its talent were ignored. Entwistle's death became a symbol of unfulfilled dreams and the crushing pressures of fame, a grim reminder that the glittering allure of Hollywood often conceals profound loneliness and despair. 16. The death of Thelma Todd. The mysterious death of Thelma Todd in 1935 captivated the public and revealed the darker side of Hollywood's glittering facade. Known as the Ice Cream Blonde, Todd was a popular comedic actress who appeared in films alongside stars like the Marx Brothers. On December 16, 1935, she was found dead in her car, parked in the garage of her lover's home. The official cause of death was carbon monoxide poisoning, but the circumstances surrounding her death remain highly suspicious. Todd was reportedly entangled in several fraught relationships at the time of her death, including with Roland West, a married director, and Lucky Luciano, a notorious mobster. Some speculate that Luciano pressured Todd to allow him to use her popular cafe as a front for illegal gambling, and her refusal may have led to her murder. Others point to West, who allegedly had a volatile relationship with Todd and may have locked her in the garage during an argument. The case was quickly ruled accidental, but inconsistencies and rumors of foul play were never thoroughly investigated. Hollywood, eager to avoid scandal, downplayed the affair, leaving many questions unanswered. The mystery of Thelma Todd's death remains an unsolved case, haunting the golden age of Hollywood. 17. The Lana Turner and Johnny Stompanato affair. The tumultuous relationship between actress Lana Turner and mobster Johnny Stompanato became the center of one of Hollywood's most shocking scandals in 1958. Stompanato, an associate of the infamous Mickey Cohen, was known for his violent and controlling nature. The relationship took a dark turn when Turner's teenage daughter, Cheryl Crane, fatally stabbed Stompanato during a heated argument in their Beverly Hills home. Crane claimed she acted in self-defense to protect her mother, and the coroner's jury ultimately ruled the death justifiable homicide. However, the scandal rocked Hollywood, with tabloids feasting on the details of Turner's connections to organized crime and the dramatic events leading up to Stompanato's death. Hollywood worked overtime to protect Turner's reputation, emphasizing her victimhood and downplaying her association with the mob. Despite their efforts, the scandal left a lasting mark on her career and remains one of the most infamous intersections of Hollywood glamour and underworld violence. 18. The Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle Redux, Virginia Rapp's forgotten story. While the Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle scandal is often remembered for the actor's fall from grace, Virginia Rapp's story is frequently overshadowed. Rapp, an aspiring actress, was at the center of the scandal that erupted after her death following a party hosted by Arbuckle. For decades, Hollywood's efforts to salvage its image focused on Arbuckle's innocence, largely ignoring the tragedy of Rapp's life and death. Rapp was a young woman struggling to make her mark in an industry that preyed on vulnerable newcomers. Her health issues, exacerbated by years of neglect and stress, made her an easy target for exploitation. Hollywood studios and media, desperate to deflect blame, demonized Rapp, painting her as promiscuous and unstable. a stark example of victim blaming. This erasure of rap's story revealed Hollywood's ruthless tactics to protect its stars at the expense of those less powerful. Her tragic death and the resulting scandal remain a sobering reminder of the industry's historical mistreatment of women and its willingness to rewrite narratives to preserve its golden facade. 19. The Betty Hutton blacklisting. Betty Hutton, one of the brightest stars of the 1940s and 1950s, saw her career abruptly derailed by Hollywood's harsh and unforgiving blacklist culture, not for communism, but for her outspoken nature and clashes with studio executives. Known for her exuberant performances in hits like Annie Get Your Gun, Hutton was a box office powerhouse. However, her refusal to conform to studio demands and her public disputes with MGM and Paramount executives branded her as difficult. Despite her immense talent, Hutton's career plummeted after the studios essentially blackballed her. She struggled to find work, leading to financial difficulties and personal hardships, including a battle with addiction. Hollywood's systematic silencing of women who challenged authority was in full force, and Hutton's fate is emblematic of the era's disregard for individuality and talent when it threatened the status quo. Hutton's story remained largely untold until years later, highlighting how Hollywood's internal politics often erased figures who refused to toe the line. Her blacklisting reveals the darker side of an industry that prioritized control over creativity and punished those who dared to resist. 20. The death of David Carradine. David Carradine, the star of Kung Fu and Kill Bill, was found dead in a Bangkok hotel room in 2009 under deeply troubling circumstances. His body was discovered hanging in a closet, and the initial reports suggested suicide. However, further investigation pointed to accidental asphyxiation during an autoerotic act, a revelation that sent shockwaves through the industry. The scandal surrounding Carradine's death was exacerbated by the family's accusations that foul play might have been involved. They hired a private investigator who suggested Carradine may have been targeted because of his involvement in controversial film projects and outspoken personality. The Thai police, however, closed the case, ruling out criminal involvement. Hollywood's response to Carradine's death was mixed, with some focusing on his illustrious career and others sensationalizing the circumstances of his demise. The case revealed the discomfort Hollywood has with confronting the complexities of its stars' lives, often reducing them to tabloid fodder rather than addressing the mental health or personal struggles that may contribute to such tragedies. 21. The William Desmond Taylor murder mystery. The 1922 murder of film director William Desmond Taylor remains one of Hollywood's most enduring unsolved mysteries. Taylor, a prominent figure in the silent film industry, was found dead in his Los Angeles home with a gunshot wound to his back. The investigation revealed a web of secrets involving Hollywood's elite, turning the case into a national scandal. Among the suspects were actresses Mabel Normand, who was romantically linked to Taylor and had struggled with drug addiction, and Mary Miles Minter, a rising star with an infatuation for the director. Letters from Minter to Taylor were found, hinting at an unrequited love affair. Her domineering mother, Charlotte Shelby, was also implicated, as rumors swirled that she killed Taylor to protect her daughter's reputation. Despite the high-profile nature of the case, no one was ever charged, and Hollywood worked diligently to minimize the damage. The Taylor murder exposed the decadent lifestyle of early Hollywood and the lengths the studios would go to in order to protect their stars. The case remains unsolved, shrouded in speculation and intrigue, a haunting reminder of Hollywood's capacity for secrecy. 22. The Errol Flynn statutory rape trial. Errol Flynn, the swashbuckling star of films like The Adventures of Robin Hood, faced serious allegations in 1942 when he was charged with statutory rape involving two underage girls. The trial became a media spectacle, with Flynn's charm and charisma on full display in court. While Flynn denied the charges, the details revealed a pattern of behavior that painted a troubling picture of the actor's private life. The jury ultimately acquitted Flynn, but the scandal permanently altered his public image. Hollywood's PR machine worked overtime to frame him as a misunderstood rogue, leaning into his reputation as a ladies' man rather than addressing the disturbing nature of the accusations. Studio executives ensured that his career remained intact, prioritizing profit over accountability. The trial exposed how Hollywood shielded its biggest stars from scandal, even when their behavior crossed moral and legal lines. Was seen by many as a product of his celebrity status, a precursor to the industry's long history of protecting its most powerful figures from consequences. 23. The Frances Farmer involuntary commitment. Frances Farmer, a promising actress in the 1930s and 1940s, became a symbol of Hollywood's mistreatment of stars when she was involuntarily committed to a mental institution. Farmer's career began with critical acclaim, but her refusal to conform to Hollywood's expectations and her outspoken nature made her a target of studio executives. When her behavior became erratic, likely exacerbated by the immense pressure she faced, she was labeled as mentally ill. Farmer was institutionalized multiple times, with reports of horrific abuse during her stays, including forced lobotomies, though the latter claim remains disputed. Hollywood distanced itself from Farmer, framing her as a cautionary tale of excess and rebellion, rather than acknowledging the role the industry played in her decline. Her tragic story highlights the industry's history of punishing nonconformity and its exploitation of mental health struggles for dramatic narratives. Farmer's legacy has since been re-examined, casting a harsh light on the systemic abuses hidden behind the glamour of Hollywood's golden age. 24. The Sal Mineo murder. Sal Mineo, best known for his role in Rebel Without a Cause, was a trailblazing actor and one of the first Hollywood stars to openly discuss his bisexuality. Tragically, in 1976, Mineo was stabbed to death in an alleyway near his West Hollywood apartment. The crime was initially attributed to a botched robbery, but the slow response by police and the surrounding circumstances raised suspicions of a hate crime. Mineo's murder highlighted the dangers faced by LGBTQ+ individuals in Hollywood, even during an era of increasing visibility. Despite his talent and success, Mineo struggled to find roles in a post-studio system Hollywood that often relegated queer actors to obscurity or tokenism. His death became a rallying point for LGBTQ+ activism, exposing the prejudice and vulnerability that persisted behind the scenes. The case was eventually solved, with a drifter named Lionel Ray Williams convicted of Mineo's murder. But the slow and dismissive police investigation revealed the broader societal indifference to crimes against LGBTQ+ individuals, a reflection of Hollywood's own culture of silence on such issues. 25. The Dorothy Dandridge career sabotage. Dorothy Dandridge, the first black actress to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress for her role in Carmen Jones, was a trailblazer who faced relentless racism and discrimination throughout her career. Despite her immense talent and groundbreaking success, Dandridge struggled to find opportunities equal to her white contemporaries. Hollywood relegated her to roles that reinforced stereotypes, refusing to cast her in parts that could elevate her career. Behind the scenes, Dandridge's career was sabotaged by systemic racism and personal betrayal. She lost significant earnings due to mismanagement by her agents and faced financial ruin. Her personal life was marred by tumultuous relationships and the pressure of being a black woman in a racist and exclusionary industry. Hollywood's inability to embrace her talent and provide her with meaningful opportunities led to her tragic decline. Dandridge died at just 42 years old. Her career cut short not by lack of ability, but by the systemic barriers placed in her path. Her story is a stark reminder of Hollywood's historical neglect of black talent and its role in perpetuating inequality, a legacy that the industry continues to grapple with today. 26. The Bob Crane murder mystery. Bob Crane, best known for his role in the TV series Hogan's Heroes, lived a double life that shocked the public after his brutal murder in 1978. Crane was found bludgeoned to death in his Scottsdale, Arizona apartment, and the crime scene offered little conclusive evidence. Investigators quickly discovered a darker side to the actor's seemingly wholesome image, a secret obsession with recording his sexual encounters, often with women he met through his friend John Carpenter, who supplied him with video equipment. Carpenter was considered the prime suspect, as his friendship with Crane had become strained shortly before the murder. Blood found in Carpenter's car matched Crane's type, but with DNA technology still in its infancy, the evidence was deemed insufficient for conviction. Carpenter was acquitted in 1994, and the case remains unsolved. The scandal surrounding Crane's death revealed a hidden world of Hollywood's excesses during the 1970s and highlighted the industry's reluctance to address uncomfortable truths about its stars. His case remains one of Hollywood's most perplexing mysteries, a tale of fame, betrayal, and violence. 27. The Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle Echo. Wallace Reed's addiction. Wallace Reed, a silent film heartthrob nicknamed the screen's most perfect lover, suffered a tragic and scandalous downfall due to drug addiction, an issue Hollywood tried desperately to cover up. Reed became addicted to morphine after being prescribed the drug to manage pain from a severe train accident during a film shoot. As his addiction worsened, the studio system worked to maintain his image, continuing to cast him in films despite his deteriorating health. Reed's death in 1923 at the age of 31 exposed the film industry's disregard for its stars' well-being. Rather than provide proper care, studios often enabled destructive behavior to protect profits. The scandal also revealed the growing issue of drug abuse in Hollywood, a problem the industry downplayed to avoid public backlash. Reed's untimely death was a cautionary tale, but it also laid bare the exploitative nature of early Hollywood and its failure to address the human cost of fame. 28. The Lupe Velez urban legend. Lupe Velez, known as the Mexican Spitfire, was a trailblazing actress whose death in 1944 became a source of cruel gossip and one of Hollywood's most enduring urban legends. Velez reportedly died by suicide after becoming pregnant with the child of actor Harold Marish, who refused to marry her. Her decision to end her life was framed as a desperate act of heartbreak. However, an unsubstantiated and lurid rumor spread in the years following her death, suggesting that Velez had staged her suicide to appear glamorous but had accidentally died in an embarrassing way. This baseless claim, perpetuated by tabloid culture, overshadowed her pioneering career as one of the first Latina actresses to achieve mainstream success in Hollywood. The scandal revealed the darker side of how Hollywood and the media treated its stars, particularly women of color, reducing their legacies to sensationalist headlines. Velez's true story as a bold, independent artist who broke barriers has only recently begun to gain the recognition it deserves. 29. The Barbara Payton career implosion. Barbara Payton's life serves as one of Hollywood's most tragic cautionary tales. A promising actress in the late 1940s, Payton's career spiraled out of control due to personal scandals, poor choices, and the industry's unforgiving nature. Her tumultuous relationships with actors Franco Tone and Tom Neal culminated in a violent brawl between the two men that made headlines and effectively ended her career. Payton's fall from grace was swift. Abandoned by the industry and facing financial ruin, she turned to substance abuse and eventually prostitution to survive. Her story was chronicled in her memoir, I Am Not Ashamed, a harrowing account of the pressures and exploitation she faced as a woman in Hollywood. Payton's life underscores the harsh reality of how quickly Hollywood discards those it deems no longer useful. Her tragic fate is a reminder of the industry's failure to provide support or a safety net for stars grappling with personal demons. 30. The Natalie Wood assault allegation. While the mysterious circumstances of Natalie Wood's death are widely known, less discussed is the assault allegation she made as a young actress against a powerful Hollywood figure. In her teenage years, Wood was allegedly assaulted by an older actor during a private meeting arranged by studio executives. Though she confided in close friends and family, including her sister Lana Wood, she was pressured to remain silent to protect her burgeoning career. The incident remained largely hidden for decades, only coming to light years after Wood's death. The revelation highlighted the predatory culture of mid-century Hollywood. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us,